What's up, everybody? Welcome back to part 4 of my Amanda Knox book review, waiting to be heard. You can pick it up on Amazon, in bookstores, anywhere books are sold. Everything Amanda Knox is linked in the description below. Her podcast, her Twitter, her Instagram, everything. She is a great Twitter follow. She posts a lot of stuff, as well as sign up for her podcast on Patreon. Support the author. So we're going to jump right into part 4. Here we go. This is day 5, November 6, 2007. Amanda Knox talks about how she had no idea what was happening to her after she got arrested, because she was told she was only going to be held for a few days. They went through her purse and she was told she could not keep anything in it. She asked about her textbooks, stating that she was going to be in class in a few days and she needed them. Could you imagine being in her position where the police are lying to her? They had absolutely no intentions of letting her go. It's also, remember during this time, Amanda's mom was in Italy and probably had absolutely no idea where Amanda was at this time, because her mother was calling her. She wasn't allowed to answer her phone. Amanda talks about how she had to have blood work done for tests for disease. You can imagine getting poked with something in a foreign country, let alone getting poked by something in a foreign prison by random doctor. That would be absolutely terrifying. She talks about telling the doctor about how the police wouldn't listen to her, about how they hit her in the back of the head, and then one of the guards that was in the room with her and the doctor said the guard heard similar things from other prisoners, meaning that her treatment wasn't unique to her. This was a regular thing that they did to other prisoners to get them to say things that they wanted them to say. So they were willing to do anything they possibly could to break you. Amanda talks about how when she was in her cell, she asked the guard if she could make a phone call, but she was not allowed to make phone calls. She wanted to call her mom. Remember, like I just said, her mother still did not have any idea where she was. We now move ahead to November 7th, 2007. Amanda Knox still has no lawyer. Amanda talks about the order of things she did the night Meredith was murdered. She states that her and Raffaele read a chapter in a Harry Potter book. They watched a movie, they cooked dinner, they smoked a joint, they had sex, and then they went to sleep. At no point did Amanda Knox leave her boyfriend's house and go back home. It is not until now that Amanda Knox finally receives lawyers. Amanda talks about how she states that until the judge spoke, she had no idea she was being accused of murder. Can you imagine being locked away and told you were only going to be there for a few days, but still having to go through everything that regular prisoners go through, and being kept in isolation, being kept away from everybody else, and then just brought to a courtroom and being told you're accused of murder? That would be hard enough to deal with if you're in your own home country, in your own state, city, whatever, but being in Italy, thousands of miles away from where you're from, barely speaking the language at this point, and then being accused of murder after being told you're just going to be held there for a couple of days. Amanda talks about how the laws in Italy and the laws in the United States are very different. This is absolutely crazy to me. In Italy, the law allows for people to be held without being charged during an investigation for up to a year if the judge thinks they might flee or tamper with evidence or commit a crime. In the United States, you have to be charged with a crime to be kept in custody. Amanda's lawyers thought that she was being stashed away in prison so that prosecutors could steer the investigation the way they wanted, and I firmly believe that that is correct. We move ahead to November 10th to November 13th, 2007, Amanda Knox was finally able to see her mother. Could you imagine being Amanda's mother, visiting your daughter in prison for the first time, knowing she's innocent, and then having to leave your daughter there completely alone, being completely helpless, knowing there's absolutely nothing you can do to fix this situation right now for your daughter? I can't imagine the helplessness her mother must have felt for her. I can't even begin to grasp what her mother must have been feeling. Just terrible. Terrible, but at least at this point her mother is there with her and is able to talk to her, console her, anything. Amanda Knox's lawyers thought that after the media frenzy had died down, that the judge would probably place her under house arrest, either with her family or in a religious community. Amanda Knox talks about how she was given a copy of a Harry Potter book in Italian along with an Italian grammar book and dictionary while she was in prison. While she was in prison, she still cared about learning Italian. If anything, it probably just helped her pass the time, and if at all possible, kept her mind off for a few minutes of what was happening to her. She was probably using learning Italian, reading this Harry Potter book, looking up the words in a dictionary to help pass the time. You're in a foreign country. You barely speak the language. You still care about learning the language of the country that is doing these terrible things to you. I should probably learning it to try and help her legal defense. Amanda Knox talks about the deputy commander. In the book, she uses the Italian name for it, but I looked it up, and I'm pretty sure it translates into deputy commander, which is a high-ranking person in the prison. He would say things to her like, "It's a shame you're here. You're such a pretty girl." They were so inappropriate. "You're such a pretty girl. Be careful what you eat because you have a nice figure." He also talked to her about sex. He once asked her if she was good at sex. She states every conversation she had with this person would always come around to sex. He would say other things like, "I hear you like to have sex. How do you like to have sex? What positions do you like to have sex in?" Talks about having to meet with him every night at 8 p.m. and this is how the conversations would go. Amanda Knox wrote a book about it. Imagine how many people, how many females are in that prison that this guy took advantage of. Amanda Knox talks about, she then told her lawyers about it, and they told her that he could be talking about sex because Meredith was supposedly a victim of a sexual crime and wants to see what she would say. It could have been a trap. Now that makes a lot of sense as well. November 15th and 16th, 2007, Amanda Knox talks about how the media reported that they found the murder weapon at Raffaele's apartment with Amanda Knox's DNA on the handle and the victim, Meredith's DNA on the blade. She talks about how she was shocked and that it would be impossible because she didn't commit the crime. She didn't murder Meredith. She was innocent. The investigators in the case claimed that Amanda held down Meredith with either Patrick or Raffaele committing the murder, and that she pressed so hard on Meredith's face during the attack she left an imprint of her fingers on Meredith's chin. The police said the bruises were so small they'd have to come from a woman's finger, even though that's not how it works at all. Amanda talks about how the press stated that the sweater she worn the night of the murder was missing and that she had gotten rid of it to hide the blood stains that were allegedly on the sweater. But what actually happened was when she came home to change in the morning on November the 2nd, she left it on top of her bed. Investigators found it in January of 2008 where she had left it. Now the tabloids started going crazy everywhere with the Amanda Knox story. It's insane that it was the Amanda Knox story and not the murder of Meredith Kercher. Just ridiculous. The tabloids stated she met a non-existent Argentina boyfriend in a laundromat to wash the bloodstained clothes. Also false. The Italian news reported that a girl was captured on camera dressed in a colored skirt or blouse emerging from the garage of the villa at 8:43 p.m. the night of the murder. That was also false. So much information was being reported by the press in Italy and everywhere else. It was absolutely ridiculous. They were literally just making stuff up and printing it as fact. She talks about how she got the nickname Foxy Knoxy again, about how it was given to her when she played soccer at a younger age, and it was used on her MySpace account and on her social media. She talks about like how I use New Scott. It's just a nickname. On her social media. She talks about how the media then went all over her Facebook page and MySpace page and then took the name Foxy Knoxy, and that became her new persona. Her new persona worldwide was now Foxy Knoxy, and she's still known to this day as Foxy Knoxy, and the prosecutor used that nickname against her. The press said she had the face of an angel, but the eyes of a killer. Well, that's where I'm going to end part 4 of my Amanda Knox book review. Remember, everything Amanda Knox is linked in the description below. Hope you're all having a great day, and I'll be back soon with part 5 of Waiting to be Heard by Amanda Knox. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you again soon.